This is investigation 1.4, problem C, the table. There's a lot of confusion on this, and so I want to make sure that we have it completely cleared up. So first off, we're going to look at the givens right here. And so we're going to see that my original box has a scale factor of 1. It's not changing the size, it's the same. The lengths of this original box to get to here, I multiply every side by 2, which means that my scale factor is 2. From the original to the third box, I'm multiplying all sides by 3. From the third to the fourth, I'm multiplying all sides by 4. And so I see my scale factor is increasing as I go down. To find my surface area, I am going to add up all of the sides. Because this compost box does not have a lid, I need to modify my equation a little bit. For my surface area, I'm going to, the front of the box would be a 1 by 2. I have 2 of those. The sides of the box are going to be a 1 by 3. I have 2 of those. And the bottom of my box is a 2 by 3. I'm going to add those together. 1 times 2 is 2, times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6, I have 10, plus 2 times 3, which is 16, so I have a surface area of 16. For my volume, it's the same formula we've been working with. Length times width times height. So 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 3 is 6. Now we saw in our problem at the beginning that the amount of garbage for that 1, 2, 3 box is 0.5 pounds, and that needs 1,000 worms. So I'm going to do the exact same for the next couple boxes. And so I'm going to find out that for the 2, 4, 6 box, it would be 2 times 6 times 2 plus 2 times 4 times 2 plus 4 times 6. And that gives me a surface area of 64 feet squared. For volume, I'm going to go 2 times 4 times 6. 2 times 4 is 8. 8 times 6 is 48. What we saw in B was that as I increased the volume, the amount I increased the volume by was the amount that I increased the amount of compost by. So here I am increasing my volume by 8. Therefore I need to increase this by 8.5 times 8 gives me 4. And I also need to increase my worms by 8, which gives me 8,000 worms. I'm going to continue going on. We do the exact same math. 3 times 6 times 2 plus 3 times 9 times 2 plus 6 times 9. And I'm going to get a surface area of 144 feet squared. To find the volume, 3 times 6 is 18 times 9 is 162 feet cubed. How do I go from 6 to 162? Well, if I divide that, I see that 6 times 27 will give me 162. So I multiply that 27 by 1/2, and I get 13.5. Which means I need to multiply 1,000 by 27, and I get 27,000. Now here's where the rule is able to come in. And so as I think about how did I get to different places? Well, from 16 to 64, I multiplied by 4. From 16 to 144, I multiplied by 9. So if we're looking at some of the rules we have to go back to when we thought about area. when I thought about area, when I was scaling area up, the formula that we used was area of the original multiplied by the scale factor squared was the area of the new. I'm going to use that exact same formula here. So if I think area of my original multiplied by my scale factor 2 squared is 4. So 16 times 4 is 64. See if it works for the next one. Area of my original multiplied by my scale factor squared. 3 squared is 9. So this times 9 gives me 144. If I were to continue on with this train of thought, I would see that I take the area of the original multiplied by scale factor squared, so 4 squared. So 14 or 16, sorry. 16 times 16 gives me 256. And I could continue going down. So this is 5, and we will talk about that later. When I'm talking about volume, because this was squared, I squared each of my scale factors. Now, because this volume is cubed, I am going to cube my scale factors. Let's see if my trends happen to be that. So I multiplied 6 by 8 to get to 48. My scale factor was 2. If I cube 2, that is 2 times 2 times 2. That gives me 8. For the next one, my scale factor was 3. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. So I take that volume, multiply it by scale factor cubed to get here. Which means that if I'm going to my next one, my scale factor is 4. 4 cubed, 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. 6 times 64 gives me 384 feet cubed. And I would continue going down. That would be 5 cubed, so 125 times 6. For the trends over here, we notice that, for the first row, it was multiplied by 1 all the way across. The second row, I multiplied by 8, I multiplied by 8, I multiplied by 8. Okay, for my third row, I multiplied by 27, multiplied by 27, multiplied by 27. So it looks as if the trend is that whatever I multiply my volume by is exactly what I'm multiplying here, and that's exactly what we're looking for. So my next one down would be times 64. So 1/2 of 64. 64 times 1/2 will give me 32. 1,000 times 64 will give me 64,000. And I would continue that trend. Here's where they are trying to trip us up, is that we have these other ones that are found in here. And we need to figure out how to find the scale factor and the dimensions. So what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards. And we know that the area multiplied by the scale factor squared, the area of the original, will give me my new area. And so I'm going to put some numbers into this value here to help me figure that out. So I'm going to take the area of my original, which is 16. So 16 multiplied by that scale factor squared, as we're trying to find, is equal to the area of my new 1,024. This is where I got to pull some train tracks. I see that 16 times something, I want to undo the 16, so the opposite is going to be divided by 16. And that gives me the scale factor squared is equal to 1024 divided by 16. Which is 64. Now to undo a square, I'm going to find the square root of both sides, and the scale factor is 8. From that information, I can multiply this 8 by each of these sides, and I get 8, 16, 24. From there, I can find the volume, the amount decomposed, and the worms needed. On the last one, when it talks about it gives me a volume, I've got this new equation I'm now working with, and that is volume of the original multiplied by the scale factor cubed, because it's a cubic unit, will give me the volume of the new. I'm going to go and put some numbers in. The volume of the original was 6, by the scale factor cubed is equal to 6,000. Train tracks, I want to undo multiplied by 6, so I'm going to divide by 6. And that leaves me with a scale factor cubed is equal to 1,000. On Thursday, we talked about cubic roots. And so to undo a cube, we find the cubic root of these, which means that my scale factor is equal to 10. From there, I can put in my scale factor, I can find my dimensions. It will give me a 10, 20, 30. From there, I can find my new surface area. I can find the amount of garbage and the worms